Okay, thank you for staying with us. And if you've just arrived, you're welcome. There's a lot of meat left on the bone. This time now, our guest is Libros Oshoma, lawyer and public affairs analyst. A fine morning to you, Libros.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Good morning.
As always, it's a delight to have you.
Same
Okay, so Tinubu reviews clemency list and drops high-risk offenders. That just about says it all. When the president, well, all the lists must come in the name of the president anyhow. So it's Mr. President. The ways we arrived, but the list was initialed by Mr. President, and that's where it became law. But there was confusion because, quite frankly, mistakes were made.
Yeah, I will quickly address some of these mistakes because some of the things that happened you find out that these powers, there are two sets of powers under pardon. You know, the presidential power and the governorship power. One is section 175 for the president, and then the other one is section 212 for the governor. So a situation where you find state pardon, state offenses under the presidential pardon, certainly there is a mistake. And then also, when Mr. President also talked about relocating the office of the advisory committee on presidential pardon from the office of the special duties, Minister for Special Duties,
Minister of Special Duties,
to the office of the Attorney General.
Yes.
It shows that indeed there was a big problem.
Yes.
And another thing is, I also expected them to take responsibility, you know, for this problem. It's not enough to say we have reviewed that in the process of releasing the instrument of release, then we have reviewed and subject to outcry, public outcry, and all of that. So the president had graciously and magnanimously reviewed and now recommended. You know, another area I also would talk about briefly is the fact that some people are confused with consultation and consent. Because some lawyers have argued that the president will need to go back to the National Council of States because subsection 2 of section 175 says he shall consult. The section did not say he shall get their consent. It said in consultation. So he has consulted. And so he does not need to go back to the National Council of State. No. But quickly, before I go into all of this, please, Uncle Yori, permit me. I listened to the former
Executive Secretary.
The
former guest of
talked about
NALDA.
Is his opinion anyway. He said
about the South,
the Southeast, and that specifically Abia, as an adopted son of Ungwa. The names he mentioned, a lot of people in Abia, they are happy with the roads that the current governor is constructing because they never see good roads before. So some of those names he's mentioned were the names of some persons who were former governors in the state who did not construct roads at all. I have to, because I've done stories on, you know, that you call me a pseudo-journalist. I've done stories on Abia. So I doubt Abia will be a very difficult place for them. It will be a difficult terrain, except the current governor moves into APC. But that's an aside. And so, for this list, the first thing for me, when I saw the reviewed list, I was happy. And I was happy for some reasons.
Because it's coming down from 175 to 30-something.
I was happy for some reasons that the people have won this time. It is not every time you win against government. The media have won because we discussed this list on this platform. Almost every platform, every television, social media discussed the list, and the public outcry was deafening. And what it shows, what it tells me is that if the people are united for a cause, no matter how insistent the government is, certainly in democracy, the reason will prevail. In this case, including party members who couldn't even come out to condemn those names on the list, but they just said, you see, the president has such powers, so he has exercised the powers. So when you probe further about the names on the list, they wouldn't want to go there. So what it means is that almost everybody was united on this. And so for Mr. President to have taken this decision, I am not one to praise him. For this one, I will say kudos.
He needs to be praised.
For this one, I will say kudos, and he should listen more.
Yes.
He should. If you listen like this, then we don't need to say people are decamping into your party, because everybody will naturally say he's a man who listens.
Yes.
And so this is what democracy is about, when you listen to the voice of the people. And then it is not just enough to say we have reduced and reviewed. People, heads need to rule, because people, how did these names, all of these names, smugglers, drug smugglers, people who dealt in arms and ammunitions, and people who smuggled arms, criminals, how did the names, all of these people, get into that list? And the people who were to vet the list before Mr. President's initial approval, what happened?
Things happen.
And sorry,
okay,
sir.
Okay.
Because if you investigate this, you will find out that sometimes people pay. I'm saying this on an international platform. People pay for their names to be on that list. Because I'm saying this because the powers of the Attorney General, in some cases, the Attorney General, Section 211 of the Constitution, empowers the Attorney General to institute a matter in the name of the state and discontinue without questions.
Of course.
And Section 174 also for the Federal Attorney General. But you find out that these powers also have been abused consistently. You have situations where a judge, there's pressure on a judge to compromise a criminal proceedings, and the man will refuse. And then the next thing, an Attorney General will just come and say, we are no longer prosecuting. We've seen cases where the people, thugs, allegedly, who are, alleged thugs of a ruling party at the state, are arrested by the police with firearms, and they are prosecuted. In the course of prosecution, the Attorney General will say, we are no longer interested. And the one that readily come to mind, if you remember, was during the Amechi and the fracas in the House of Assembly in Rivers State, when we saw a honorable member almost pummeling, almost killing a colleague with the mace. And when he was subsequently arrested and charged by the police, what happened? The Attorney General went to court and said, we are not interested in prosecuting. So when you put all of this together, you find out that there is more to this list, there's more to prosecution in Nigeria than media. That's why I also disagree with some persons who are saying, let us even have a parole board. The parole board will, just like the American system, they visit prison once in a while. That system, like you said with China, operates on trust. Once you are given such a responsibility, it's on a responsibility of trust, and a higher trust is placed on you. But here, where Unoman, Mamadu, Tiwa, please, the bearer, please, now is my brother, do something. So we've not been able to manage what we have. So that's why I completely agree with the recommendations made by the president. Let us even start from there. Look, Attorney General, create guidelines for which, let there be transparency, create guidelines that people must meet before this pardon. And then ensure that all stakeholders, security operatives, and everybody that is in charge of prosecution and investigation. Also, I would also want to plead that they include the media and the market women and civil society, because the media, as if they are more like gatekeepers. They are the ones that see these things. They keep, these stories on the top burner, so they will know. So if you have them, certainly they'll be able to point out some discrepancies in this thing. So when we do that, we've moved that to a stage. Then we can now say, yes, we've gotten it right. We can go into even having a parole board. But otherwise, it will be subject to abuse, just the same way we're abusing, the power to discontinue prosecution.
Yeah, thank you. And the other thing, going back to this whole matter at hand, talking about the Tinubu reviewing the clemency list, you made the point earlier that he's worthy of commendation because he has listened, he is listening. And that seems to be how he is. That's look.
I agree with the word he has listened. Whether he's listening, that's a subject for debate between
the continuous tense.
Yeah, the continuous tense.
That's the part
I might not agree with
but
you.
Mr. President himself has said time and again on his national broadcasts that we listen. You know.
Yeah, listening and acting, they are two different things.
But the two have coincided in this one.
Yet for this one, we have seen that he has listened. And so that's why, for me, I will commend him.
Yes.
And so for other ones that, you know, he said, I listen.
Yes.
But we didn't see results. Then you don't expect me to say, oh, kudos.
Okay. Mazi Okorafo, good morning to you. Mazi.
Good morning, our guest. So we thank God that today is the last day in the month of October. You see, the clemency we are talking and the clemency speech, this is to show that our president has what we call listening ear. You see, organizations or Nigerian people say many Nigerians don't have listening ear. But this one, which shows the government, federal government, our president, to ask listening ear. Your people have been saying, go to social media, them everywhere, international, look at it. They are listening here. You have to look into it. That is what we call government. It's not a government of autocracy. It's not a government of monarchy. Not a government of go to hell. That is why I used to say that when you sit there in a place, you must take criticism. People must criticize it, either constructively or unconstructively. That is the system that is working everywhere. But now, upon those people that the government is into this, honestly, I kudos to the president government, kudos to our president. But what I want to tell Nigerians is anytime you see something, but make sure you are presenting in a positive,
constructive
form,
criticism,
not in a very, very arrogant form, which is not heavy. Nigeria is a country that belongs to everybody. There's what we call press freedom, yes. Freedom of speech, yes. Freedom of religion, yes. But we have to move forward. But by way concern this morning, as you are talking about clemency, please, the federal government should look into doctor strike. They say first
okay, Mazi.
Good morning.
Mazi, thank you very much. Yeah, and he was calling from Abia,
yes.
But he didn't really stay too much on that area. You know, going back to this thing that happened, one doesn't really know how to view it. Was it fortunate? Was it unfortunate? Well, it was unfortunate that that mistake happened in that way. It was a mistake. Otherwise, the president wouldn't need to have changed
another thing I will commend the president for is that there were speculations. Oh, this list of drug barons and drug people and you know all of that. I know maybe they are president's friends, and unlike we saw before where a city president even granted pardon to his friend, his former godfather, the case of Alamisia, despite the cry, there was no review. So that's why for this one, ours is not just to criticize, it's also to look at the issues critically. And I believe really that there's need. It's not just anyway, government might not inform us, but while you have relocated the body from the Office of the Special Duties to a more robust and responsive office that understands the rudiment of the law, the Attorney General, I also think that maybe, we might not know, that's why I said maybe government would tell us, that the investigation should be conducted. Because this was a national disgrace. Well, it was a national disgrace for the government, because you saw the list. And then what it means is that you take, for example, you are security operatives, or let's say the NDLEA, and despite all odds, you decided to arrest a known kingpin, drug kingpin, and despite the compromise, despite the attempt at compromising, you say, no, I must prosecute you. You took that person to court, and then they will attempt to compromise the judge. And the judge said, no, we must rid this society of people like this. And the man is sentenced. And then 2 years down the line, you hear, so persons have been pardoned. Yeah. It would demoralize anybody.
All these points were made. That is bearing in mind how we have to encourage law enforcement.
And that's why I said
and also to think of the victims.
Yes, that's why the president talks about the justice being a tripod. Justice to the states, justice to the victim, and then justice to the society. You know, so perception is key. So that's why for me...
You know, I was surprised when I heard, was it the president himself who said it or someone speaking for him, that the committee that...
The
advisory committee is located in the Ministry of Special Duties. Well, I'm happy that, you know, the president in his wisdom has said that all of you people there move over to the Ministry of Justice.
So with the Ministry of Justice,
so now this mistake wouldn't have happened.
So the Attorney General, as a law enforcement officer for the entire country, will now sit down, draw up regulations, putting into cognizance the criminal laws. Which
the president said, this is what you must do. Let it be transparent.
Yes.
Let them know that from here to here
so that people will know the criteria for granting pardon.
Yes.
And then the security operatives also who are on the field, who some have died while fighting crime, will also be part of this committee.
You know,
they would be able to make recommendations to say, no, this one was very notorious. And from our investigation, the person is still not remorseful.
You know, I hear you. And I think the other area you can commend the president for is that he didn't waste any time in doing a turnaround. Yes, embarrassing, egg on our face and all of that, but he didn't try to, you know, sweet talk it or shift it.
Look, Uncle Yori, there was no way they could have sweet talked
No wiggle room, eh?
There is no
wiggle room
at all. So it was obvious that it was bad. When in law we say it was incurably bad. So the best they could have done, anyway, if they wanted to, they could have said, Nigerians, we don't care. You know, and people would have said, well, that's typical of the APC.
No, but the man has said he's a caring president. Exactly.
And it would have been an albatross. It would have been a sour point that people will consistently refer to, even in the election, and say, well, didn't you see the list that they... Anyway, now go commit crime, just belong to the ruling party, and then you'll be granted clemency.
All of that.
So there was no middle ground. There was no way they would have been able to twist this. And that's why I am saying that it was good that the Attorney General came and said we're reviewing the list. Even though I thought initially, after you've granted pardon, that you are reviewing an instrument that had been assented to. But eventually, so what it means is, look, we have reviewed and we have decided in releasing the instrument of release, we have decided to prune down the names, the numbers, and ensure that people who met this criteria are those who deserved it.
You know, I think the president was just being a leader, by which I mean he was not shifting anything. All of this was on him because he is the commander-in-chief. He is the president. And so, but he didn't, not one word in his own defense, so to speak, but that we listen.
The buck stop at his table.
Exactly.
So whether the ministers are appointed by him, they report to him.
Yes.
So
somebody dropped the ball, but the president was not about to say that. He was not about to say that.
In parliamentary system where you say you have collective responsibility, and in presidential you have individual responsibility. That individual responsibility is for Mr. President to deal with. But in taking decisions, any decision taken for and on his behalf, he bears the responsibility.
Indeed. And he didn't shy away from it.
And in this case, he had no other option but to own up. If he shied away from it, it would have also been a problem for him because people will say, you appointed people who are not competent. Instead of taking responsibility,
I hear you.
You are saying that, it was the fault of so-and-so person. Leaders don't shift blame.
Thank you. That's the whole point. And Tinubu has proved himself to be an excellent leader in this regard.
In this regard. Yes,
because it would have been painful. Yes. But he wasn't about to throw any of the myriad of people that were supposed to advise him under the bus.
Yes,
he just accepted everything.
I agree with you, but we need to take it a little bit further. In accepting responsibility, we also need to see people punished for such, you know, for whether you want to call it mistake or slip, we need to see people punished, whether silently or publicly, to serve as a deterrent to the office that he's been moved to, so that tomorrow we don't also see this kind of list and then you move it this time around.
It's not going to happen under this watch again. Once beaten, 4 times shy. In this instance, so good morning, retired AIG Dr. Olatoye Drusimi.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
My take on this is that
it showed the courage of the president in correcting mistakes. When mistakes are meant to be corrected, and he accepted responsibility, and he responded swiftly to ensure that that is corrected. Not only correcting the list, setting up another way of making sure that that mistake doesn't happen again. I disagree with our guess that maybe some people pay or not. It may not be pecuniary interest. It may be political pressure and so many other pressure. When one is in a public office, so many things happen. But at the end of the day, it's the man at the top that will be blamed for it. Thank God that the mistake has been corrected, and at least the life of some law enforcement agents who actually have arrested and prosecuted these people are safe. Remember what happened during the crisis, during the SARS must go, where prisoners were released by some people in Benin. They went back and started looking for those who prosecuted them. So when the Yoruba proverb says that when a man falls, he learns how to walk better. That is just it. The mistakes have been corrected. Courageous president has taken a decision, and I'm very proud of what the president has done.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
In continuing, it's his opinion, it's the AIG's opinion, and then he has said...
Retired AIG.
Yeah, retired AIG. He retired, whether retired or not, AIG is AIG. He's, because his wealth of experience garnered over the years cannot, you can't just wish it away. But that said, whether it's for pecuniary gain, there's influence somewhere.
In fact, I just didn't want to extend his conversation. I was going to point out that, but it is on record that such things have happened before.
Yes, and that's where...
And sorry, Rebus, I'm reminded now of the quote-unquote fiasco that happened when a statement purportedly came from the presidency about the appointments of NTA,
yeah, exactly, yes. And it was reversed almost immediately.
It was reversed totally, which means that the president didn't know about it. And that goes back to the point of some people dropping the ball. The president he can't be everywhere. He can't be everywhere.
I agree with you. That's why
every line.
That's why on this there are people whose responsibility it is to cross-check this. Yeah. If there are no consequences for actions and inaction, tomorrow it will repeat itself.
You're very
we
right.
saw that of the NTA. We are seeing this one again. So there must be consequences, and that's why in commending the government over this, there's need. They are talking about constitutional amendment now. There's need also to amend the powers of the Attorney General in discontinuing criminal proceedings, that the judge should also be empowered to question the reason, because of influence, like the AIG has said, undue political influence. So it shouldn't just rest with the Attorney General. The judge should also have a say in the matter when an Attorney General is going to discontinue a matter to say we are no more interested. It shouldn't just close like that.
Okay, so that's a suggestion for those honorable and distinguished gentlemen and ladies who are working on the
including
Constitution.
Mr. President.
Well,
you can make suggestions.
You can make suggestions. They do everything. They bring it to him. He looks at it. If everything is cool, he might sign it.
Yes.
So, but again, the point cannot be overstated that Mr. President did, a fantastic thing. He didn't consider the embarrassment that has been brought to bear.
The embarrassment would have been more.
It would have been more. It would have been more. But things could happen. We thank God that Mr. President has gone in this way. It was not good. Absolutely not good. But he has now taken steps to make sure that it won't happen again.
Let's hope that there won't be, because the one for the NTA, not that people complain. A lot of people didn't even know that the tenure of the existing board
had not expired.
So, but immediately the attention was drawn to it, I think from inside, and then they quickly corrected it. And so in the same vein...
But you'll notice that when that whole NTA thing was going on, one of that news, some media did not report it, meaning that I don't know the source for this.
The source for this, because...
So I will not carry it.
Because they knew that the existing board at that time was still subsisting.
But some people had gone out.
Exactly.
I heard Bayo complaining that this is the problem sometimes with the Nigerian press. Not all, because some will not report based on the professional parameters of we don't know where this is coming from, there's no source. But some others will continue to hit on it, Look at, we're talking about a coup now. Who said there was a coup?
Who
said there was a coup? Who said there was an attempted coup?
If
you want to look at it strictly.
Okay, fantastic. Just like the case of the NDDCMD. The day before, I saw on the social media, oh, the NDDCMD has been arrested. He's been arrested. He's been arrested. Only for me to watch TV yesterday, live. I saw him live at a forum of synergy and cooperation between the NDDC and the state's Ministry of Agriculture. So I was shocked. I had to take a picture. I said, am I seeing double? You know, so
we gotta go.
Sorry, sir. In my last, just a few seconds, and that's why the responsibility stops at the table of he who is the leader.
Yes.
There's need for vetting, thorough vetting. We can't overemphasize vetting. And if it is not properly done and it causes embarrassment, somebody must go in for it.
Let's wait and see. And here, I wouldn't be surprised if something didn't happen along those lines. The first of it is that all of you guys in special duties, all of you over to the Justice Ministry. Thank you very much, Libros Oshoma, lawyer and political affairs analyst, as always.
My pleasure.
Your insightful views on these matters.
Thank you.
Okay, so that